Hello and welcome to another session on file allocation techniques for the subject of operating systems. In this session, we will be discussing about different techniques used to store files. On the screen, you can see that there are 4 different techniques. So initially, in order to discuss what a file allocation is, we have to keep in mind that as files are allocated and freed, due to this, the space on the secondary storage becomes fragmented, and this can cause performance problems. Now, in order to recover from this problem, the system can perform defragmentation. By doing so, while the file system is in use, it can also lead to poor response times. So sometimes because processes often access portions of a file sequentially, so this leads to attempt to store all the data in a file contiguously in order to improve the performance. Also, spatial locality tells us that once the process has referred to a data item on a page, it is likely to reference additional data items on that page only. Or it may refer to data items on the page contiguous to that page. So because files often grow or shrink over time, and since users rarely know in advance how large their files will be, contiguous storage allocation systems have generally been replaced by dynamic non-contiguous storage allocation systems. So we will be studying our first allocation technique, which talks about contiguous file systems. Now, such file systems place the file data at contiguous addresses on the storage device. The user specifies the amount of space needed to store the file in the advance, and if the desired amount of contiguous space is not available, the file cannot be created. An advantage of contiguous allocation is that successive logical records are placed physically adjacent to each other. These file systems have good access speeds as compared to the systems in which successive logical records are dispersed throughout the secondary storage. Because records dispersion leads to additional seek times, so this acts as a disadvantage. Now, disadvantage of contiguous allocation system is that they lead to external fragmentation issue. Also, contiguous allocation can result in poor performance if the files grow and shrink over the time. So if a file grows beyond the size which it was originally specified and there are no adjacent free blocks, a file must be transferred to a new area of adequate size. And this leads to additional input-output operation. So contiguous allocation is useful for write-once CD or DVDs which do not allow files to grow or shrink over the time. So now come to the other techniques. So the next technique under discussion is linked list non-contiguous file allocation. So in this, the file systems which are implemented on rewritable secondary storage media use non-contiguous allocation. So one approach is to implement a sector-based linked list. You know what a cylinder, track and sector is. We are talking about that sector. So in this scheme, each directory entry points to the first sector of a file on the hard disk. The data portion of a sector stores the contents of the file, and a pointer. The pointer portion stores a pointer to the file's next sectors. Now data section and a pointer section are there. Because files often occupy multiple sectors, a disk's read-write head must sequentially access each file sector until the requested record is found. So non-contiguous file allocation have some drawbacks. Because the file records may be dispersed throughout the disk, direct and sequential access to logical records can involve many additional seeks. The pointers in the list structure also reduce the amount of space available for file data in each sector. Now, one scheme which is used to manage secondary storage in a very good, in a more efficiently way is called block allocation. Now let's see the diagram of block allocation first. Now in this scheme, instead of allocating individual sectors, blocks of contiguous sectors are allocated. I again repeat, blocks of contiguous sectors. So a block is made up of many contiguous sectors. The system tries to allocate new blocks to a file by choosing free blocks as close as possible to the existing file data blocks. Each access to the file involves determining the appropriate block and sector within that block. Now on the screen you can see an example of a block chaining technique. So in block chaining, each entry in the directory points to the first block of a point. The block contains two portions, the data block and the pointer to the next block. The smallest unit of allocation is a fixed size block that may consist of many sectors. Locating a particular record requires searching the blockchain. Now, this searching will continue till the appropriate record is found. So the chain must be searched from the beginning, and if the blocks are dispersed throughout the disk, which is normal in this case, the search process can be slow as block to block seeks occur. So insertion and deletions are performed simply by removing the pointer in the previous block. So some systems also use doubly linked list in order to facilitate searching. The blocks are threaded in both forward and backward direction because of the doubly linked list, so that search may proceed in each direction. If the size of the block is large, it can result in considerable amount of internal fragmentation. Now the advantage is that you use large block size. So the advantage of large block size is that it reduces the number of input-output operations required to access the file data. But small blocks may cause file data to be spread across multiple blocks, which tend to be dispersed throughout the disk. And this thing can lead to poor performance. So in practice, block sizes are typically in range from 1 to 8 kilobytes of memory. Next technique under consideration is tabular non-contiguous file allocation. Now, tabular non-contiguous file allocation stores the pointer to the file blocks contiguously in the tables. In order to reduce the number of lengthy seeks which are required to access a particular record. Now, in order to understand this thing, let's see a diagram. Now, in the diagram, you can see a user directory and in which you are having files placed like A, B and C is their names, and the location tells about the number 8, 6 and 2. Now 2 for file C stands for that in the block allocation table you have to go to index 2. So the directory entries which are on the left hand side of the screen, it indicates the first block of a file. The first block of the file C in the figure is 2. The current block number is used as an index into the block allocation table to determine the location of the next block. So by using 2, we enter on looking in the block allocation table, we can see that the next entry is at 5. On going to index file V5, we see that the next block is at 20 and so on. So the block allocation table entry for a file's last block has a null value in it. The table can be cached. Remember caching now. The table can be cached so that the chain of blocks that compose the file can be traversed quickly, which also improves the access timings. So now locating the last record of a file may require the file system to follow many pointers in the block allocation table. And in order to reduce the access times, the block allocation table should be stored contiguously on the disk, and it should also be cached. Both things has to be done so that the speed increases. Now if we observe on the screen, we can see that C points to the block allocation table on the index number 2. From index number 2 we have to go to index number 5, or the block number 5 you can say. From block number 5 or index number 5 we have to go to index number 20. On reaching index number 20, we see that we have to go to index number 23. Now based on this table, let's see what the memory looks like. Now if you see in the memory, and if you go to block number 2, can you see block number 2 and you see C1 written in it? This means for file C, the first block has been stored at block 2. Now after block 2 you are asked to go to block number 5. If you see block number 5, you will see C2. This means second part or the second block of the file is stored at block number 5. Now from block number 5 you are asked to go to block number 20. If you go to block number 20, you will be able to see C3, which means that the third block for the file C. So in this way the file has been stored in the memory, but the table contains the list or the pointers from one block to another block, indicating that on the hard disk where these different blocks are scattered. That information is stored in a block allocation table. And last topic of today's discussion is indexed non-contiguous file allocation. So this is another popular non-contiguous allocation strategy which use index blocks to point to the data in a file. So each file has one or more index blocks. Now let me show you the diagram first. Now if you see in the diagram, you can see that there is a file directory. So a file directory contains the entry which points to its index blocks. So to locate a record, the file system traverses the directory structure to determine the locations of the file's index block on the disk. An index block contains a list of pointers that points to the file data blocks. So let's remember the hierarchy: directory structure, then index block, then the data blocks. So as we know that in order to locate a record, the file system traverses the directory structure to determine the location of file's index block on the disk. It then loads the index block into the memory and then uses the pointers which are in the index block to determine the physical location of a particular block, particular data block. So often large files will consume more blocks. So then the number of pointers a single block can store becomes insufficient. So now what happens? Now we use a technique called chaining. So in chaining, most of the index block implementations reserve the last few entries to store pointers to the other more index blocks. So index block has pointers which will point to the data blocks. Index block also have a pointer which will point to the next index block in case the size of file is large. So in order to speed a file traversal, the index block are also required to be cached in main memory. So once the appropriate record is located via index block, the data block containing that record is read into the main memory. So directory block will point to the index block will point to the next index block if required, and index block will also point to the data block. In order to search a specific data block, you have to go to the index block to check whether that pointer is in the index block. So this finishes our session for today. Thank you very much for being a part of it.